Hey guys, this is Eric and Sean with OzoneTCG. We're taking a look at the YCS Pasadena Remote Duel Top 32 deck breakdown. Pretty interesting results. Pretty much expected since it's basically the end of the format right now. Let's go ahead and take a look. Before we do though, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for future content. We'll be covering TCG Advanced format as well as Common Charity. Let's get right into it. Alrighty, so first up we have Sword Soul, Tri-Brigade, Striker, Invoke, Beach Trooper, Drytron, Eldritch, and Virtual World. Of course, to no one's surprise, Sword Soul takes the cake with 11 players playing the deck, 34%.
Yep.
Of course, Protoss is one hell of a drug. The card's cracked beyond belief. No surprise there. So keeps Drytron in check. Kind of helps versus Striker in some regards, but yeah, this is. I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised that Sword Soul's the top deck right now.
I 100% agree. I think I'm a little surprised of the non-Sword Soul and Tri-Brigade deck list this format, or this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. Interestingly, with the Striker having more players than Invoke, I think I've made the comment before that Invoke's like the perfect mid-range deck for this format. I'm a little surprised that it's not taking more spots, especially because the Striker decks were all playing the DPE version, which is really interesting. Also, the Tri-Brigade decks, one of them was just a Zodiac deck, like Zodiac Tri-Brigade, and one of them was the Zodiac Tri-Brigade also playing DPE, so it's kind of like a mix of previous format and current Tri-Brigade without, of course, the Leerlusk cards, but by far, of course, the Leerlusk cards were the most popular, and of course, Leerlusk won the whole thing.
Alright, so looking at these, or the breakdown right now, I see that 11 out of 32 of the decks are playing DPE. What do you think about that?
It's interesting that it's from the non-Sword Soul version, or non-Sword Soul decks. We saw that there were 0 Sword Soul players in top 32 playing the DPE version. I kind of was expecting at least one to just sneak in. I don't think that's the better build. I think the Tenny is like objectively the best way to build a deck. But it was really interesting to see the non-Sword Soul decks playing that. Yeah, because it seems to carry the not best decks, if that makes sense. So the decks that aren't clearly the best deck will be playing DP to give it that extra push.
So if you look at all these decks that aren't Sword Soul or Tri-Brigade, they all come from here mostly. All 4 Sky Strikers are playing it.
Yeah.
I think both of these Invoke players are playing it. There's one that's apparently not playing it.
Yeah, I think they're playing more of a Shadal heavy deck. Yeah.
Yeah, both Beat Troopers are playing it. Like, Beat Trooper's hard to carry by this card. Like, if that card gets hit, it's probably the death to Beat Trooper.
That and Sting Lancer is what gave Beat Trooper the edge in this version, especially because Sting Lancer can counter other DPE decks.
Yep. Drytron's getting hard carried by it right now, and then of course the Eldritch deck is also getting hard carried by it.
Yeah, we know the guy who topped with this. We featured a very similar list to what he was playing in previous deck profiles with Zohair and Nick. It's basically what half the DP decks are playing: Artifact Dagda, Scythe, and DP, of course.
Something I do want to note though also is that Sky Striker, I think this is the first time they beat Invoked in Reputation at an event like of note, I want to say.
Yeah, for a while at least. It's been a few years.
Some of these are Artifact Sky Strikers too, which is really hard to deal with.
Oh yeah, they're playing that engine. We've done the banlist predictions before, but I just can't stress this enough that Protoss, obviously with Sword Soul, and Scythe are probably like 99% getting hit.
Is there anything not featured in this breakdown that you think should have topped or have the potential to top?
I think Dragon Link theoretically could have at least just one player. Considering Beat Trooper had it, Dragon Link could play DP too. I just think that's like a possibility, especially over the Eldritch, the Cyber's Gadget Eldritch deck. Not saying that it's better or worse necessarily. I'm a little surprised that, again, Beat Trooper of all decks did it. I'm also a little surprised that only one Virtual World Sword Soul deck topped.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's some hype about it.
Yeah, I would have expected at least 2. Granted, that deck does brick. It's Virtual World. I guess what really can you expect at this point? But if a card like Itali is going to 3 for punks, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that also rise a little bit in popularity.
I agree.
And then with Drytron, I'm a little surprised that card actually, or that deck rather, actually stuck in, even with just the one, because of how many Sword Soul players there were. I'm sure we don't have the exact numbers, as far as I'm aware, for the main event, at least with round 1, how many people entered and how many people were playing that deck, because Drytron just gets destroyed by Protos. Like, there's just nothing you can do about it.
Not even just Proto, it's like Chao Feng too is just so hard to deal with.
You can shut down the entire thing if they don't have a counter to Chao Feng with maybe with Basha, then you just kind of lose. Same with if Protoss doesn't get interrupted or you stop the wave to search Protoss, then you might have a chance, but that's rarely happening, especially with the 2 or 3 hand traps that Drytron's playing.
Assuming we get a list, based off this breakdown, what do you think should get hit?
Based off this, obviously Sword Soul, like I said, Protoss, 100%. Tri-Brigade in some regard to the consistency, because I think the power is almost okay. I think it's a little bit too much. Striker is obviously just hard carried by DP and Scythe. Scythe Dagda and Verde Anaconda, I think if those are hit, then that just goes back to Rogue. That probably wouldn't see any representation, really. Invoked, it depends on what would get hit. Verde Anaconda does hurt, but they would still play, the DP version, DP decks. Only thing that I think would really matter with Invoked is if the engine itself got hit, or if, like, Didier Servant went to 1. That would make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think necessarily Verte would impact this representation too much. It would be if they actually touch more cards in it. Beast Trooper, again, Verde Anaconda, if that card gets hit in this deck, I don't think would see any representation in Top Cut. Drytron, I'm sure they're going to put Ben 10 to 0. That's just me, though. I'm not...
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to, like, completely push out of the game. Tins are over. Deck's been around for a year and almost 2 months now. I think it's going to get pushed out of the game finally, and that might be just the way to do it. Not necessarily thinking that it should go, but especially if Protoss goes, because that Sword Soul does keep that deck in check quite a bit. Of course, Outlish, again, exact same argument with Sky Striker, gets hard carried by Dagda, Scythe, and DPE. Nothing else there. Virtual World, it's just there.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say about it. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else to say about this. This is basically, like I said, this is basically the end of the format. It's close to being solved just because it's either power cards, you're playing a bunch of generic power cards, or you're playing, auto wins like Protoss, Scythe Dagda, DPE. The format's basically solved to this point. Really, we're just waiting on the format to change. I have a very good feeling it's going to be like 2020, beginning of 2020, where everything from 2019 was basically tossed out. No pun intended, of course. And new decks were put in. And just to really push, I think Sword Soul will stay at least top 3. Probably still number 1, but a lesser power ceiling with the new list. I don't know, not much else to say about the format, kind of what we expected, and there's really no reason to theory it anymore since it's basically over. But if you guys liked it, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This is Sean and Eric, and we will see you in the next one.